Welcome back. You're tuned into Bazaar Morning Call. You're on CNBC-TV18. Well, overnight you had the dollar index that rebounded from around 104. It's holding at around 104.5. The bond yields as well got past that 4% odd mark, and that's why global equity markets in a bit of a tizzy today. Though yesterday we had a very good trading session. The SGX 50 for starters, in case you're just joining in, it's indicating that we're likely to start off on the back foot with a cut of around 50 points. The good news, though, is that not too long ago it was suggesting a 70-point decline. So maybe we'll start off in the red, but not that much. Well, let's get to Anand Tandon, who joins us to give us his view. And let's analyze a couple of stocks as well. Hi, Anand. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining in. Anand, it's the start of the month, so we obviously look at the auto sales numbers. And Sonia was just telling us that Hero MotoCorp as well as Eicher Motors, both those numbers look pretty good, those two-wheeler makers. What's your sense? I mean, how do you approach these two-wheeler companies, and any preference out there?
Well, I think, the two-wheeler space is a little bit of a problem area in my view right now, because there are a whole lot of, unlike most other industries that you are seeing consolidation in, here is one sector where there are, large number of almost 20 plus EV manufacturers which have come in, and that's the one place that we are seeing a lot of offtake in terms of EVs. So till the market shares kind of settle down, I think it will be a little iffy to take a call on where you're going to be. Bajaj is obviously out in terms of its export markets. So if you're looking at the domestic players, Eicher to some extent is better off because of the product profile, and that is a lot more, because it works on brands and it's a lot more iconic and aspirational. So from that point of view, if you have to look at two-wheelers, that is probably a safer place to be. In the usual 100-150cc kind of category, I would argue that it's best to avoid that space right now, because you will have shifting market shares, and it's a little difficult to see how the entire thing will pan out at this stage.
Okay, so avoid the two-wheelers for now. Let's move to another mode of transportation, then railways, right? Anand, there's so much being done here. In fact, the bidding details for the Vande Bharat orders are now out, and there are some key beneficiaries, whether it's RVNL, which has emerged as the lowest bidder. There's BHEL in consortium with Titagarh Wagons as well. Do you like any of these stocks from a long-term investor standpoint?
Well, if you look at this particular order and you see Mr. Money's comments in the papers today, Mr. Money being the gentleman who was actually responsible for getting the Vande Bharat designed and manufactured in India at the Chennai factory, he seems to indicate that this is a desperate bid from the Russian parties, and that would mean that the implementation of this order may actually get delayed. So if you were to take that kind of view, then obviously much of the upside that one would expect from a business of this size is not going to happen. Also, to some extent, estimating the kind of maintenance figures for the next 35 years is always going to be a bit iffy. Assuming that you do assume that you can actually make these trains at this price and sell it in India, obviously the manufacturers will benefit to the extent that much of this, almost 80% of the Vande Bharat, has been designed and manufactured in India with only a few components imported. There should be a lot of beneficiaries scattered around, not necessarily the shareholders that will be manufacturing it. But I don't know the names at this stage, and you have to actually wait and see where the order flows move. It would be simpler perhaps to just look at companies like making gears and so on, which undoubtedly will be providing some kind of products into almost any of these manufacturing facilities, and therefore look at that. And so any heavy engineering company should actually benefit in some form or shape.
Anand, hi, morning. One smaller group of stocks yesterday which were buzzing quite sharply, the innerwear makers, Rupa, Lux, Dollar, all 10, 14, 15%, all bashed up, so maybe bounced, but all bounced up together. Do you own any of them, anything in that pack? The leader Page, of course, was flat, slightly higher. Any view on the space?
Well, from what I understand from the industry, they've been going through a very, very tough time and trying to boost up sales even at marginal profit or loss by having a lot of one-for-one free kind of sales push-up strategies. Maybe that situation may have changed in the near term, and consequently, given the fact, as you said, these are beaten down stocks, there could be a possible turnaround. Clearly, the kind of valuation that they are at is not very demanding right now. valuation considering a normal business situation. As I said, the business situation right now is, at least till a few weeks back, was fairly bleak.
All right, Anand, we'll, stay with us. We'll just continue this conversation. We have a